In this video, we're going to use the expression editor to add another layer of control to this rig so that when I rotate this NURB circle, it will rotate the orientation of this claw. And you can see that here inside the claw, we have this joint that's the base of all of our internal workings. And if I rotate that, I can still rotate the orientation of the claw, even though there is some rotation built into the IK handle. So if I move this up and down, you can see that this rotates, but I can still rotate and reorient the claw with this joint. So we'll use this NURB circle in order to rotate that and control our rotation of that joint. So if you'd like to follow along, you can go to the claw rigged 3 file, and that will allow you to pick up right here with a complete system built that has a switch for the claw opening and closing, and then also has another one here and some parenting done so that the rig moves along and also can control your IK handle. So what I'm going to do is go under Window, Animation Editors, and Expression Editor. Now, a lot of times people new to Maya can be daunted by the expression editor because you're writing out these equations, but really it's a very simple and very powerful way to get a lot of control over your animation and really streamline your animation process. So I'd really encourage you to not be afraid of it, but to dive right in, and really there's some simplicity if you look at it and break it down easily. So what I'm going to do is I want to have a few objects involved here, so I'm just going to select some objects in the scene. You can see as I select objects here, by default your select filter here on the top left will be set to object and attribute name. So if I select NURB circle 2, you can see that that appears there. And then I also want to select this joint here. So you can see with the joint there it shows up, but I also want to shift click on my NURB circle. And there you can see I have the joint, and then I have my keyable attributes over here on the right hand side. And so the way that the expression editor forms these equations is that it uses the object name, period, and then the attribute. So let's do rotate z, which is actually what we're going to control here. So you can see joint3.rotate z, and I want that to equal the NURBS circle 2.rotate z. Okay, so when I select things here, when I select an object and select an attribute, it's going to give me that part of the equation. So I'm just going to select NURB circle 2, because this is what I want to be on the right hand side of the equation, because this is what's doing the control. So I'm just going to take that and copy it, and then I'm going to go up to joint 3 and rotate z, and then all I have to do is I can just grab this and middle mouse drag it down into my expression. Now you can also just type these in. You don't have to drag them or paste them in. You can simply type them in if you want. So you can see I just took this and I pasted in that NURB circle 2.rotate z, so that that's all in there. That way I don't have anything to worry about. But I can very easily go and edit this expression by adding in a different variable or adding in some multiplication or a negative or whatever the case may be. And as soon as I click create, it's going to create that expression. So now if I take this NURB circle here and rotate it, you see that it is controlling my rotation of my claw on the z-axis. Okay, so this is actually, as I mentioned, a really powerful way of working, because these expressions, if I go up here, I can see all the expressions I have created by selecting the filter of by expression name. I can click on this expression here, and you can see that if I wanted, I could take this and make it an inverse value just by putting in a negative here, and then just click the edit button and it will save that edit. So now if I rotate this to the left or counterclockwise, my claw is rotating clockwise. You can see sometimes you might want something that's inverse, and this makes it much more easy to do. And I could also do something like, let's delete the negative and then go down to the end here, and I'm just gonna say times 2. And edit. So now very slight rotations here are going to equal much larger rotations there. So you can see here I've only rotated about 45 degrees, and I've got about a 90-degree rotation on the claw. So there might be other times that you want very little motion to control a lot more motion. So now all I have to do, let's go back to where I was, just delete the extra stuff, and we'll click edit, and that will save that edit. And now just so you can see another way that this can work, you can have multi-chained expressions. So I could have one expression, then a part of one expression is controlled by another. So for example, I could take my rotation values for my NURB circle, let's copy that, and let's go down to my object here. And now the top joint of this hierarchy will always rotate whenever the object moves. So you can see that it's going to reorient itself towards that elbow. So if I wanted to, I could use the joint rotation, so that joint rotate Z, to control the NURB circle. So if I go and paste in NURB circle equals, let's go grab this joint 1 rotate Z and pull that down. Now when I click create, if I pull on this, you can see that now it's giving me different orientation based on the angle of that first joint. You can see the first joint is actually targeting that IK handle, so that's what's giving me my rotational values. Now, the problem with this is now I can't go in and manually rotate this, so this actually takes that control out of my hands again. So it's really not what I want to do. So I'm just going to go back here, and I'm going to go back to my expression names. I can go to expression number 2 here, and then just select it and click delete, and there it goes. So very quickly and very easily you can get good control over multiple objects. You can get very precise control, and you can control it very simply, and you can also fine-tune your control by doing additives. So for example, if I always wanted this to be a few degrees more, I could just say plus 15 degrees, and then as soon as I hit edit, you can see that this is already rotated 15 degrees because I'm adding 15 degrees. Or I could say minus 15 degrees, and it's going to rotate the other way. So I can very easily fine-tune my positions and allow me to much more efficiently drive my animation with the control of my individual objects here in my control rig. The last thing that I would actually want to do on this would be to go to my NURB circle, go to my rotation limit information, and I don't want this to rotate at all on the X or the Y. I only want it to rotate on the Z. So I'll turn off and limit my rotation from 0 to 0 on X and Y. And now I can only rotate it on the Z, and there we go. I have good control over the rotation of my claw. So using the expression editor, there we go. Pretty quickly, pretty easily, I've got control over my claw so that I can reorient it against whatever rotation natively comes in with the movement of the IK handle.